Good evening, beautiful people. What is it? Thursday? Tuesday? Tuesday evening here in Denmark. The market is closing in 20 minutes time. And yes, even though it has been a nasty day for almost every market except gold and silver that has actually performed quite decent. But overall, the Nasdaq AI is getting smacked to bits here, but also uranium miners. And that is what we are going to be looking at here. The miners in the USA and Canada. Uh, it is red across the board. We have a few green ones here, but again, let's see how much damage we have been taking. Um, and I will do the 15-minute update on uranium as well, or URNM as well in the video after this one here. So check it out if you want a bit more detail. So yeah, without any further ado, follow me on Twitter if you like what I do. Also on YouTube, and yes, I have a paid, what's it called, option where you get a bit more technical analysis, mostly on stocks and what I'm looking at right now, what I'm doing, and so on. That will be in that. It's totally up to you what you want to do, obviously, but now we know. Okay, we want to look at the URNM. No, we will not look at the URNM. We can only say here that we're down 4.5%, getting bit of a nasty here downtrend here on the weekly. Three, big red candles right there. Usually not the best sign to have these big red candles here. Could this be the start of something like this? But on a shorter time frame, maybe. We're still at some sort of support here. It's getting a bit dicey here short term, obviously. We did get below that high there from 2021. Obviously not ideal. You can see we had the retest, and then boom, we went down below. So definitely, but we do have some support still. But hey, let's see here. This is not ideal looking short term. We might have some damage to cover for the next few weeks, maybe months here. Okay, let's dig into the stocks here. If my trading you wanna update, that is always a big issue. Come on, let's go, do it. Let's just make a new one here. Oh, there it is. It came there. Good. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So U.UN. I noticed this parallel trend on here. Connecting there makes some sense here, but clearly, this trend here, nice and easy uptrend, and now we're getting volatility. So I think we are making a weekly high here. Um, Also, we are a bit stretched. Again, here, I wouldn't be surprised to have a correction right here as we speak. Um, and also the run here from 16 to roughly 100%, still very, very strong move. We're still in the uptrend, still in the 30 weekly uptrend, which is coming up heavily after that massive run. So let's see how long time it will take for this correction here, or the sideways price action. um but yeah, down 4% today. Here we have ASPI. um Want to remove that stuff there. A lot of lines there, but anyways, still in the uptrend, still within the green uptrend here. And yeah, it does, it is taking some damage here. Also, if we look at the shorter term, we could have a potential small head and shoulders there. Also have a bear flag here, but also some micro stuff there that is bullish. So again, let's see what tomorrow brings. I do think tomorrow, if we have a yet another down day for the uranium miners, that will seal the deal to me that we are having a correction here over the next few months um, for uranium. Also, it doesn't help, that you have AI and the Nasdaq, everything basically getting hit to pieces today. So that definitely doesn't help. AEC here still above its 30-week moving average after we broke out and had that retest. We did make a higher high, so we're still making higher highs and possibly higher lows, but definitely I want to be a bit cautious here. Hopefully, the 30 weekly will save us. Um, And then if it does, we can obviously go higher, but still getting a bit iffy here for the AEC. Again, the correction that we're looking at could be upon us. BSK, also a stock that is tremendously difficult to get a grip of here. We had a beautiful, move here with some decent volume, and then we're coming just back down again here. Again, overall, the URNM corrected, and these small miners, they cannot, really get any momentum without the broader market to carry them. We still have the three lows here, and we have the third there, excuse me. So we're still hanging on here by a thread, but we don't want to have, big candles here, weekly candles. The 30 weekly will start to come down. It will be a mess for BSK. I deleted a lot of stuff here, but then for some reason, the things I want to show you here was, I want to save that. Cameco has still come a pretty damn long way up, roughly 1,000% from the COVID lows. And now, as long as we are, excuse me, as long as we're above that golden trend line there, the lower one, we can copy it, add it to the other side, and we have some, we can maybe, depending on how you want to do it, roughly here. So we're still in the uptrend. And if you go to the weekly here on Cameco, you can also see we lost some internal, yeah, we have lost some internal support right there. And what we're hoping for right now is actually that this double bottom here can act as support. But that move there, the Batman pattern, as I'm preferring it to, that looks like a short-term top right there, obviously. So yeah, let's see. We're still about the 30 weekly, barely, or are we? Maybe we're about almost right. So we are getting a bit iffy here on the Cameco chart. It has come a long way, and again, that clear breakout there, beautiful, and then became higher. So again, this week here, especially today, is a big hit. With we had that hope that we could actually bottom here, as I also talked to Borak, and then today we would go higher. But overall markets and uranium market today, clearly a nasty day. We still have 15 minutes to before the close. Maybe there will be some, last 5 minutes buying, but I wouldn't. Let's see tomorrow. We have that gap here that is filled for Can Alaska. A huge pop there, came back in, not ideal. You don't want to see this breakout and then come back down. From what I could read, this was actually, that move there was mostly ETF rebalancing, so an artificial move. Looking at the daily here, we closed the gap. We have a wick there on the daily candle. So yeah, at least that gap is closed. Now please, can we go higher? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Denison Mines. Denison Mines, DML here, 30 weekly, strong as ever. Pullbacks, again, until proven otherwise should be bought. The fact that we came above the 2021 high there and then came back down, again, that's not perfectly ideal here short term. A false breakout as we speak. So how low will we go? Hopefully it will just be some sideways, and then we can go sideways, hopefully. But for now, we do have also this right here I want to show you. We have, a classic, 1 to 5 move up there. So hopefully this will just be an ABC correction and not, a deeper one where we have the full 5. So let's see here, long term. We have broken out from that long-term bad boy up there. Beautiful. Also, if we add that in here, you can see we have some support. That's also a big one. That pivot there to the 2021. If we are adding it in, let's make it blue just to be able to look at the differences. There it is. Makes sense. Correction there. So we could actually be that we're going down to that, and then we hopefully find some support. But definitely the momentum short term on all the miners right now is to the downside, but also on the 1 hourly, they are pretty oversold. If you look at the 1 hourly, let's look at Denison here, you can see they're clearly heavily oversold RSI 15. Again, I don't expect this one just to keep dropping. I do see a move, to the upside. Hopefully we can negate it, but for now, definitely a strong move down. But I do expect that the remaining of the week, we will not keep crashing. Obviously, if the overall market keeps crashing, that will be difficult, but I do expect some sort of bounce here. I can also see here on the 1 hourly, we have a gap right there that we close. So again, short term, we have come a long way down, but we are heavily oversold. So I do expect some sort of bounce here. Hopefully we can, get a decent bounce and not just a small, what's it called, a small whiff, and then we go lower once again. Here we have on core energy. The fact that we didn't take out the highs is actually, the way I see it, a decent thing. So we have no false breakouts here. 30 weekly coming up nicely. Pullbacks here until proven otherwise, again, should get bought up. Same thing here. We have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Elliott wave there. Hopefully, it's just an ABC bull flag, something here. The overall long-term trend, the weekly stuff is still intact. The monthly stuff is still intact. The daily is getting, you can see here, getting damaged a bit here. We have the same thing here, dipping below, dipping below. So, but definitely you can see here, with the amount of red we have, this is a bit more severe. That's also why I do think that we could have, an ABC or even a complete, 1 to 5 correction. Again, you also note that I'm talking about, go away, often talking about when you have these massive breakouts, the resistance, the big target is almost, the triangle right there, the triangle high or the bull flag high, before we get a correction, and then usually we go higher. Usually when you leave these bull flags, that is just a pit stop, before we eventually go higher. These breakouts usually lead to higher prices. That is the name of the pattern. So FCU, fission uranium on the weekly, same thing here again, 2021 high. We did have a fake out here, dipping below that green support over here. That's not ideal. That's, could be in for a more serious correction here. Overall, we're still in the long-term uptrend. So again, the long-term stuff hasn't been, damaged as much as compared to the short-term stuff. I would rather have the long-term still in play. And just have, the correction on the shorter time frames, which you have, on the weekly, monthly basis, almost always anyway. So, but again, thing here, we have that squeeze breakout here. There it is. And we just tag that triangle high, a bit of a fake out here. Usually that bull flag leads to another high move. But definitely we are seeing a correction here. And how low can we go? I mean, we have support coming in. We have some pivots coming in here that should act as support. Again, we are in an uptrend. So that's usually buy the dip mentality. When you're above a 30 weekly moving average, it tends to get bought up. Just look at Bitcoin, right? Fine here. What a beast, or not a beast, but a weird kind of stock. I also think that move there was the rebalancing of some of the ETFs. Massive move up here. We came all the way in for a textbook, retest attempt, and then we collapsed through. And now we have our final support down here at roughly 0.33. Also on the daily here, I want to show you. I told you, as long as we're above that green support, which is now resistance, everything is fine. So the stop here for my trading position, I have a long-term position in Find, but my trading position that were based here, got stopped out here. So, I was down roughly 5% on that trade. But I had to respect that green uptrend line right there. That was my initial plan. And yeah, you got to stick to your plan, right or wrong. But there's definitely the breakdown there of the blue line. Also getting back into the wedge. We just lost a triple support here. Boom. So not ideal. Daily in oversold here soon. I do expect a bounce. Hopefully we will get it here. And we don't want this to be a little whiffle here. We want this to be very strong, bullish, and then we can maybe go higher once again. But definitely maybe a bit more downside, a few percent before we find that daily bottom. Precious metals, actually, it was up, a few percent before I went live here. Flat for today, but we have, bull flags. This is bull flag city, more or less, right? You have move up, bull flag, bull flag, bull flag, and that's still the name of the game. 30 weekly coming up nicely here after that massive breakout. So forces metals, again, yes, we're having a correction here on the weekly. It could go down, could go on for a longer time, but definitely long term, that move up there is still very bullish, and I wouldn't change a thing as we speak. That could come, in a few weeks' time, maybe if we see some big weekly damage. But for now, it's purely 4 hourly, maybe some daily damage on the time frames. FUU, I want to show you something quite amazing. Well, not amazing, but just to the difference between log scale and regular scale. So here on the FUU, we are having a false breakout as we speak here. 30 week is still coming up here. But again, we don't want to start to get too much below here because then this could start to roll over. So definitely want to find some sort of support here. I want to switch to the regular scale and show you, difference between regular and log scale. So somewhere around here, right, roughly there, you can actually see on a regular scale, we are basically retesting that breakout now. So you get a different view. But again, I'm always sticking to the log scale. That is, I think I have the most precision with the breakouts and with the long-term stuff. Global Atomic still looks quite amazing, to be honest. It's still holding support here. And as I said when we started to break out here, I just wanted to stay here for as long as possible, really. Don't do a goddamn thing for the next few months, and then we can have the 30 weekly, coming up there, and then we can boom blast higher. But obviously that means that we have to hold the neckline support and that golden trend line here, right there. We want to hold just go sideways here. That I wouldn't mind, just grinding there to the downside, and then we can blast higher within a bull flag. We don't want to lose those two lines there and then having to come hard down in towards the 30 weekly. That's a lot of short-term momentum, and that could escalate if we cannot, stop the short-term momentum to the downside. So definitely right now, it's still holding on nicely. I think if we go to the daily, no, we're not quite oversold. I want to show you the 1 hourly. Oh, excuse me, that wasn't the intention. There it is. I want to show you the 1 hourly, and you can still, I'm sorry, you can still see here that actually huge breakaway gap there that it was closed. We are below there, and for now it's still somewhat of not. It's not a completely washout, but again we did continuation to the downside here. Hopefully we can get back above that gap there at roughly 3.20. Hopefully tomorrow or within a few days. For Global Atomic, very important moment there for Global Atomic. No doubt about it here, short term. GoviX, good old GoviX. I did clean up quite a bit here excuse me, to keep it somewhat simple. GoviX came crashing down here back into our parallel channel right there. So again, not ideal. Also, if you are really, you could argue, again, the right shoulder is not perfect, but that you have some sort of head and shoulders pattern there. If that is the case, then you have a bit more downside here. So GXU is getting hit a bit here. Maybe it looks a bit different if you go to the regular, but yeah. We can see here that the 30 weekly is holding, and that needs to hold. It really, really has to hold here on the weekly basis. No question asked. That's really important. ISO still making higher highs and higher lows, hopefully here on the weekly. 30 weekly coming up nicely. We left that bullish pennant there, and we came in and took out that high. Ideally, we want that high to hold, and that triangle high right there to hold. But ever since we came down through $5, we are now at 4. So a lot of downward momentum on the shorter time frame stuff. 4 hourly is getting oversold at the moment. Again, I do expect some sort of bounce here in most of the stocks short term. We just need to see if it can have a decent bounce and not just some whiffle there. You can also see a lot of support here within 410 to roughly $4. Kazatomprom also with a big down day today, obviously. Well, big and big. It's only 2%, but again, I think it will open up quite hefty tomorrow to the downside before hopefully it can recover from the US markets that is having a bit of a bounce, hopefully. Again, we have Nvidia earnings tomorrow post market, so definitely. So yeah, still, this is not the most beautiful sideways action. I hated that we actually made that high, to be honest. But 30 week is still coming up nicely, so we are still in the stage 2 uptrend. And ever since we came here to here, this is actually the first stop. So if this is just sideways price action, we have a lot more room to run for Casadam Pro. And yeah, so I would be surprised if we start to trade lower there again. Obviously, anything is possible, but given the fact that this run was so strong, the momentum is just insanely strong here long term. And this looks like some sort of weird, not the perfect textbook, but weird price action to the sideways, and then it should resolve to the upside. Again, it's all a matter of probabilities. Laramid, same story, really, also getting whacked here today. It's down at that previous high there at roughly 0.78. Still, it's a minor one. I wouldn't put much effort into it. Again, 30 weekly coming up here. I've removed all the clutter here just to keep focused on the fact that we're still in the stage 2 uptrend for most of the stocks. You can see here, as long as the 30 weekly is coming up, that is because the price action keeps going up here. So again, we are still heavily above that 30 weekly, and I would be surprised if this is the end for such a massive breakout here. And the fact, as mentioned, very often we restart before we have a bigger pause, and then we go higher. This is a massive bullish pennant or bull flag. LEU, zooming in here on the LEU, I want to go to the daily, because I actually think that move here, we are at the end of that move. Daily oversold. Looking at the 1 hourly, you can see here, bit of a massive collapse all of a sudden from 56 down to 40. So again, we have broken out from that long-term golden trend line here, as mentioned many times before, and now we're just coiling up here again with what could be that fine, some sort of exhaustion move before we go higher. That's very often seen just to get everyone, out. That is, on the shorter term time frames, and then we go higher. Blue support here is holding, barely. Again, the theme is probably we are oversold on the short time frames. We have come down pretty damn quickly down 10, 20% in a lot of the stocks. But again, nothing goes in a straight line. So unless the bigger market tomorrow, maybe post earnings from Nvidia, starts to tank heavily, it will probably take everything down with it. And oversold or not, it doesn't really matter. Lightbridge still fighting that trend line, nothing new. Still bullish, but we want to wait for the confirmation to the upside. Mega Uranium, actually coming in, retesting these highs here at roughly 0.41. We are 0.4 right now. So again, here we want to recover. We want this. We don't want the weekly to close here. Hopefully we can get back above. But you can clearly see the difference here. Bullish consolidation, bullish, and then right, completely different scenario. But again, we are oversold on the 1 hourly, heavily oversold. I do expect some sort of bounce here that maybe can't save us, where we will, retrace up and have, close at the upper candle of that one. NXE, the only thing I want to show you on NXE is we have that bad boy here, retesting here, pretty hard, pretty intense. But again, you have that breakout of that bull flag, and then we are retesting from above. So NXE here, we don't want this to get back into the bull flag. Obviously, that is not the best thing. Sask here, all over the place. Oops, whoopsie. There it is. It took a shot here, breaking out from that falling wedge, from that wedge pattern. False breakout, bear flag, and then we just completely down to the apex once again. So let's see how this one acts out. I would assume heavily divergence on the 1 hourly. You can see here. So again, I do expect a short-term bounce here. I really do. Funny enough here, actually, this is new scale, SMR. Double bottom still in play. Some sort of bullish sideways action here. Only down 1% today. But again, we only have that one there, that pivot. So we need like a fourth to really confirm if this is some sort of play that can give us an entry. Sky Harbor, nothing new. I want to show you the long-term stuff. I have shown that many times. We are still or we are now down at that, you know, 1.5 year long trend line. Needs to hold, obviously, otherwise we are probably looking for some lower stuff here. Looking at the daily, somewhat oversold almost. Some volume in, usually when you see these big candles at the end of a move, that are ticked again, that's usually the end. You can see here big candles, and again, you have big candles here. So um, hopefully this is like the exhaustion short-term stuff that we need to get out of the way. But definitely we are getting whacked here short term. That's no doubt about it. I mean, for sure. UEC down 10% today. Holy bananas. That's a lot. Testing that high there from 2022, April. Clearly that needs to hold. Otherwise, we have some sort of false breakout stuff here. The 30 weekly is still coming up nicely though. So again, you can see here we've come a long way. The trend is still up here within the massive green uptrend. But I would be saddened to see, some sort of breakdown, and then we have to go all the way down to roughly 5, and then we can, go higher within that massive green uptrend there. That wouldn't be funny, but again, can easily happen. URG couldn't break out from that long-term golden trend line. It's a bit of a messy one here, to be honest, compared to the others. But again, tiny fake out here. We have some demand zone coming in here. 30 weekly, as always, not as always, but as all the others, is coming up heavily. Heavily. You have to admire the move that happened, late summer, up, 140%. So, and we are now down again 20%. A 20%, pullback in the miners is a little pullback. I mean, or a standard pullback, not a little one. It's a standard pullback. Usually you get like 40%. So uranium royalty corp. Again, this is one of the chart that is taking a lot more damage. You can see here false breakout from that inverted head and shoulders, coming back down now below again the 30 weekly. So this one here, yes, we are making higher highs, but the fact that we came back through the neckline and now is toying with that 30 weekly um, is not ideal by any means. We want to have a few good weeks here. You can see we are getting, oh, we actually closed a gap. My take on gaps, right? Let's add it in. I didn't know. We have a gap here that we closed. Massive red candle at the end of a move. You can just, I mean, that is a long downtrend right there. So could be that was all that we needed to close the gap from that mega move up there. Maybe. Energy fuels, also a mega red candle here. After a long move from 8 down to 6. Wow, really getting hammered. I found this internal here, the dotted one. You can clearly see these highs connecting. And we have, one move down, second move. So I'm just waiting to find the low for this third move, which easily could be here. And if we start to having some big buying power here, coming into UUU, getting back into that blue channel here, false breakdown, that could actually be the sign that we have seen the lows, at least for now, in the uranium miners, simply by looking at UUU. So if you see that, if we're getting back in heavily here for the next 3 days, I think that we have made a somewhat of a low here. And I'm not saying that we just blast higher, but if you look at the Vikov distribution, or excuse me, accumulation, these types of patterns here is actually typical. This here you have a spring. I also posted this one. You can go check it out on Twitter. And then if this gets back in, it could be a spring, and then actually quite quickly it can blast to the upside. You can go check out Vikov accumulation. There are two setups. This is one of them. You can actually see it. Hopefully that is the case. Last but not least, we have YCA. That is the Yellow Cake PLC. I've said the same thing about Yellow Cake for the past 2 months, I think. We're still in the green uptrend. 30 weekly is coming up nicely. Yes, this is, in my view, a weekly pivot top here. And we could just correct here, hopefully just in an ordinary manner, not just coming down hard. That gets a lot of short-term momentum. We don't want that. We want a nice, controlled Hopefully, you know, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, some sort of correction there, that would be ideal, not with a too steep of an angle. But for now, you can see here clearly we have had a minor blow off here, and now we're actually just going sideways. Ideally, we want to hold these levels here, otherwise we can start to curl down there. So, but again, long-term stuff, massive uptrend still. Again, you can see here after this was summer, where is summer? That's roughly here. We've come up roughly 100%, and now we are down 10%. It's not the end of the world. I know today was rough, but again, I will do the URNM ETF straight after this video, after I get a glass of water, because I've been talking so much. Again, insanely oversold on the short time frame. So hopefully we will have a small bounce incoming. That is all, guys. This was actually a pretty damn long video. I think 40 minutes. But again, I cover this stuff on a weekly basis, and I will do it even on days that is nasty as, I cannot say that word, obviously. This is a nasty day, but we have seen these many times before, so it's not totally, I'm getting used to it. Hopefully you are as well. But our guideline, my guideline, is always the weekly chart, 30 weekly moving average. And as long as we don't see any major topping patterns, I try to be as calm as possible. But as said, the overall market, if the AI tech bubble is really crashing here, that is so much money that is going to sell, that I would be insanely surprised if that selling power or pressure don't spill over into uranium, maybe you know, gold and silver as well, because we're talking trillions of dollars into a uranium sector that is maybe 100 billion. So that could carry over. That's all I'm saying. Okay, I will stop talking here. Uranium is getting whacked here today. Has been whacked here for the past few weeks, actually. But again, a 20% pullback in uranium. We've tried it before. Guys, have a great the rest of the day. Check out the ETF on the URNM, which will be up in like half an hour or so. Guys, bye.